USANA headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're pushing back the frontiers of science, just like that's what we do. And today specifically we want to talk about a little bit of new research that's out there, publication that was just hit the press. It just came out in the journal Nutrients about 3 weeks ago. And so it's pretty exciting, and it's particularly relevant to today's conversation because as we're sending our kids back to school, and I've got some guests here with me that are going to talk about that, but as we're sending our kids back to school, it's very, very difficult to make sure that they continue their nutritious eating habits while they're at school. During the summertime, we can help them out with they're there and we can help them out, but it's a little bit harder. So to help us explain this and explain the importance to you, I've got two guests here with me. We've got Jesse Johnson, who's a senior scientist in R&D, who was the lead author on the publication in Nutrients. And then we also have Angie Larson, who is with USANA Studios. She's the managing producer and also a mom of two.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's why you brought me in. I've got two boys. I'll tell you what, back to school is a hard time for moms. We really want our kids to eat healthy, and so we try to pack healthy lunches. I always want to put carrots or celery or some sort of a vegetable in there along with a fruit, but sometimes they just don't eat it, and the only way I'm able to get some nutrition into their diets is by juice.
Yeah.
And I put a nice, colorful, fun juice in there thinking 100% juice. It's good. Am I doing the right thing?
Well, sort of you are. I mean,
Uh-oh.
Sort of. And we've all made
That's
this
a really
mistake.
nice way to say that, Rob.
Well, it's better than giving them Coke or a pop or something.
Okay,
but,
shoot.
But actually what we found recently here at USANA in our paper is that whole fruit and juice are not identical. And matter of fact, they perform very differently in the human body. And Jesse can give you more explanation about how that's so.
Okay, that intrigues me. So what is the difference?
Between fruit and juice.
Yeah, how do they perform differently in the body?
So what we did was we characterized the epigenetic signature of white blood cells in humans that consume fruit or juice. So then you're probably wondering what is an epigenetic
Yes, please.
signature?
Can you dumb this down for me? Because this science is right over the head.
So epigenetic changes are non-permanent changes to your DNA that are usually triggered by environmental stimuli such as fruit and juice consumption.
Okay.
So we use those signatures to identify the cell signaling pathways that are different between people that consume fruit and consume juice. And what we found was that people that consume fruit have the signatures associated with pathways like cellular maintenance, and in people that consume fruit, I did say that wrong?
Yeah, you did say it wrong.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
People that consume juice have epigenetic signatures associated with pro-inflammatory pathways or immune system activation, and people that consume fruit have signatures that are associated with cellular maintenance pathways.
Right.
So these pathways are very different from each other. So what that tells you then is just that if you want to reap the benefits of fruit consumption, you want to eat fruit and not substitute juice.
Okay, so why is that? I mean, we see on the labels it's 100% juice, so we think we're getting all of those elements from the fresh fruit and vegetables. So why? What's going on? Why is it different?
Well, it's interesting what we found and what we're hypothesizing, because we basically see in the epigenetic information that fruit and juice behave differently from each other, and the hypothesis is that what you're taking out when you're making juice from whole fruit is you're taking out the fiber, and the fiber plays a big role in not only the way your digestive tract works, but also in the absorption of nutrients. And also in immune system function, which is exactly what Jesse found, is that there's distinct, whereas whole fruit has an effect on immune system cells, a positive effect on immune system cells, fruit juice does not.
So that's interesting to me. And another huge trend that a lot of moms and dads are doing out there is taking our whole fresh fruit and vegetables and then juicing them, either with some sort of a fancy blender. We get it all in there and we think this is the only way to get our fruits and vegetables, because our kids will actually drink
Right.
healthy foods rather than consume them, just by eating them. Is that the same thing as buying maybe a bottle of 100% fruit juice?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you juice whole fruit and you don't strain out the fiber, so there are some juicers that just kind of turn whole fruit and vegetables into liquid, and you can drink it. And if you're not taking any of the fiber out, then it would be equivalent to eating whole fruit or vegetables. But there are some juicers that filter the fiber out, so they'll actually strain out the fiber, and then you're basically ending up with the same thing that you would buy as juice at the store.
That's so interesting to me. So really what we're saying is to get all of the benefits of our fruits and our vegetables, we have to eat them in their whole form. Great, my kids are going to be so excited about that.
Yeah. Well, you know what, it is a bit of a hassle, you know, trying to get kids to eat fruit, because fruit's actually not as sweet as the juice is. The juice is very sugary and sweet. But one way that you could do this is, you know, just cutting up, dicing fruit, and leaving it in the refrigerator for the kids. Now, with apples in particular, you know, if you chop them up ahead of time, they tend to turn brown. But if you squeeze a little bit of lemon juice on there in like a Ziploc bag and shake them up, if the lemon juice coats, it will prevent them from turning brown. So you can just grab a handful when you want to give them to your kid, and there you go.
Can you come pack my lunches every day?
Yeah, sure. I got nothing else to do.
Right, you're only running the scientific team here at USANA Health Science.
No, that was theory. I don't actually do that for my kids, but it's a great theory.
So maybe we should start packing those kinds of lunches with all of USANimals, and we send them off to school and they'll be just fine, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I like that. That's a great idea. What does this mean? You know, as a mom, we are always looking for the scientific backing behind all of these great ideas, and we want our kids to be healthy and grow up strong. What does it mean to get a study like this published in such a publication?
It's very nice.
Wow, humble.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
very
but what does
humble
that
about
mean
this.
in the scientific community
It's
to
hard.
have something that's
it's
published?
hard. It's difficult. I mean, to get things published, particularly in a top-tier journal like Nutrients, it has to be up to a very high level of very high publishable standard, because you've got reviewers that are reviewing it, looking for flaws in the data, looking at the, you know, your assumptions and your conclusions, and making sure that the data actually supports that. And Jessie just spent a lot of time working on this. You know, I have to credit her with basically Jessie's a whiz with nutritional databases. So basically being able to extract the data, you know, from large studies and be able, and that's how she came across this. And I'll tell you, this is a whole new frontier of science for USANA, because this opens up a whole new thing for research and development, because basically not only do we have our own clinical studies that we do on our products, but now we can go back and mine the retrospective data from other people's clinical studies and be able to draw conclusions like this. And then the conclusions like this can eventually lead to product development, because now we know that fruit fiber makes a huge difference on immune stimulation. So you may, wink nod, may happen to see some products in the future that kind of incorporate this technology into them.
A little sneak peek at the R&D
No, I can't
future of
say.
USANA, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, because we don't know for sure.
We're not allowed to say, but maybe.
All we know for sure right now is it seems it's the safer bet for all of us moms and dads out there who want to make sure our kids are eating as healthy as possible, to get a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables into their diet in their holistic form, and maybe keep juice as a dessert instead of a meal replacement plan.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, Jessie, what's the data on how much, because the USDA has recommendations for fruits and vegetables on a daily basis, and there's a certain percentage that is contributed by juice. And what was that percentage again?
Well, they recommend 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit or juice for adults, and then what I've seen is mostly, like they say, 1/3 can be swapped with juice.
1/3.
Yeah, so they're actually making the same assumption that we do, that there is some equivalency between that. So who knows, as this science becomes more mainstream, you may actually see changes in recommendations. And also, I think that, you know, what you mentioned about the juicing trend, you know, I think that's still on its way up, where a lot of people are, you know, that's a great way of ingesting a lot of fruits and vegetables every day. I mean, how else are you going to get 12 servings a day if you don't, like, put it into juice and take it with you where you can drink. Who's going to sit down and eat 12
No.
servings of vegetables?
It
Nobody
feels
does.
impossible. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is mission impossible, but we're going to make it a lot easier. And when you give us strong information to back up why we need to do that, that makes all the difference, I think. And that's why I love USANA so much, is because they have all of the science that backs up why we do the things that we do.
Yeah.
So that's important, I think, as a mother. I can only speak for mothers, but as a mom, it's really important to me to make sure that my kids are strong and healthy.
Yeah.
And I appreciate USANA.
Well, USANA is great in that way because, you know, this research isn't directly product development, really. It will eventually lead down the road towards some of our cool products, but we also feel the need as, you know, being a very successful company in the nutritional space, that part of our job is to supply information out to the consumers. You know, so like on this issue, there's a lot of parents I know that are making the same mistake, where they're giving their kids sippy cups of juice rather than giving them fruit, whole fruit. And so we feel it's our job to alert the people to that.
I felt badly as a mom. I think my kids were apple juiceaholics. I really do. That was what they would drink, and I thought, oh, I'm being a good mom. I'm giving them juice instead of pop. Okay, now I know. Water, milk, and fresh whole fruits and vegetables.
But they turned out fine, right?
They're turning out fine, and now they're going to be even better because I'm going to be better. So Luke and Parker, you watch out.
Yeah.
Fresh fruits and vegetables. I'm going to the store tonight, and this is on my grocery list. So they're like, yeah, Mom.
Yeah. Hope you like Brussels sprouts.
Well, we won't go that far, Rob. We gotta keep it. Let's keep it to the beans and the peas and the carrots.
Well,
Let's try that.
there's a lot of people that actually don't eat any fruits and vegetables. You know, my grandfather was like that, where he was an immigrant from Ireland, and actually, you know, their thing was that humans don't eat vegetables. You feed those to the animals, and then you eat the animals. That's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way it was created.
Yeah, that's not the way.
Yeah, no.
That's not the way. I would feel sick if that was the way it was. Minimal meat and lots of great fruits and
Right.
veggies. Oh, I feel so much better about this as a mom. Thanks for quelling some of my concerns. And as parents, we just want to do right by our kids, and we want them to grow up healthy and strong. And studies like this one give us ammunition to bring to our children and say, see, there's a reason. USANA says so in the study. It's published. You can take it to the bank.
All right, guys. So from USANA headquarters, thank you for joining us on this conversation. Thank you,
Thanks,
Angie.
guys.
Thank you, Jesse. And we'll talk to you soon.